Okay, so in this video, you will learn about how to do a technical SEO audit for big websites. So doing SEO audits for big sites is a bit different from doing SEO audits for smaller or small or even medium-sized sites. So if you're analyzing a big site, you definitely need to watch this video. So here are a few tips that I can share with you based on my experience as an SEO auditor with more than 10 years of experience. So, first tip is always to look at Google Search Console. Of course, Google Search Console does not show you like all the data, but it shows you meaningful samples that will let you quickly see some most important possible errors or mistakes your site has. And Google Search Console is simply is showing you the way Google sees your site. So you definitely want to see what Google sees and what Google wants you to pay attention to. So always start with Google Search Console. There are various reports there. What you are interested in is a performance report to simply see that trends the site is getting, whether the site has lost traffic, has gained traffic. You want to know what's going on with the site before even starting an audit. Of course, the index report, which shows you how many pages are indexed, how many pages are not indexed, whether the pages that are indexed are the pages that should be indexed, whether for example, the site has indexability issues and a lot of pages are in the crawled, currently not indexed bucket. If meaningful, important pages are here, it means the site may have some quality issues. So you want to be checking that before doing an audit. This should be an important part of your SEO audit. The same with video pages. If you have video pages, you want to see whether those videos are indexed. The same with sitemaps. Are sitemaps submitted? Are they crawlable? Uh, does Google have any problems with those sitemaps? Removals has some content been submitted for removal from Google, from search results? You want to know that. As the same goes from experience. Are core web vitals passed? If they are passed, then you probably don't need to worry too much about the speed, because core web vitals are based of real user world user experience data, which means that the data for core web vitals comes from real users, and this is basically what you are interested in: real users and how they experience the site, not artificial lab data you have. For example, if you test the site with Google PageSpeed Insights, which is based on Google Lighthouse. So these tools are great. They can show you areas for improvement, but like the what you're most interested in is here in Core Web Vitals report. Mobile usability. Is the site mobile friendly, or does it have some issues with mobile usability? You want to be checking that. HTTPS. Are there any HTTP pages on the site, even though the site has HTTPS, or does the site even have an HTTPS SSL certificate? So you want to be checking. These are like basic things, but basic things that can actually negatively influence the site. So this is an important step in every audit. I know I'm repeating myself, but this is so important. Enhancements. So is if the site is using schema, is the schema for reach results, is it valid? Are there some issues? You want to know that as well. Security. These are basic things. If there is a manual action, then this should be like priority number one for you to sort this out. If there are security issues, which can mean the site has been hacked or infected, you need to know that and you need to take care of that. Like in the first place, you need to put a huge banner on the top of your audit saying uh, the site has been hacked, fix it before you do anything else. And the links report also shows you like pages that link to the site. It also shows you internal links, what pages are most often linked internally. Again, very important thing. Top linking text, the same. And there is another very important report within GSC, which is crawl stats, which shows you how Google is crawling your site. Whether, for example, what's the average response? Is it going up, down? Is it like stable? Host status. Has Google had any problems with robots text fetch, for example? If there were such problems, then you have to be taking care of them very quickly, because this can influence the indexability. This can lead to your site not being indexed or being removed from the index. So these are very important pieces of information, like the response code. What's the response code? What files are crawled the most? Is it like HTML pages or something else? So this is like your pre-audit stage. Once you have seen what's in GSC, you took notes of the mistakes, you more or less know what's going on the site. Now it's time to do your own crawl, and here I recommend using at least two or even three crawlers for the same site. Of course, in some cases this may be counterproductive if this is a site that has, I don't know, 5 million, 50 million pages. Then you probably don't want to crawl it with two desktop crawlers, because desktop crawlers usually take more time to crawl the site. But generally, general recommendation is to use different crawlers, because they always see a bit different things. So of course, you want to use screaming frog. You want to look for like big things you can find in big sites, which is, for example, like huge duplication or huge crawlability issues, problems with even crawling some parts of the site. So this is where you can use Screaming Frog. Of course, there is also Sidebulb, which I also like very much. It is a bit different. It has a lot of explanations. It has those hints, and for example, it says that there's a critical high issue, and it always asks you to lets you learn more about this specific hint. So here is, for example, this is like marked as critical. Learn more about this and why. And once you read, you can think whether this is an important really thing, whether this even applies to you or it doesn't. So these are two desktop-based crawlers. There are also cloud-based crawlers. So Ahrefs probably won't crawl the entire site if this is like huge site. For that, the best tool is Jet Octopus, which is probably the fastest crawler as well. I'm not sure about the speed, but I think it can crawl a ton of sites per a ton of pages per second. So if you have like this huge site, you need to crawl it with Jet Octopus. It also shows you like different types of issues, JavaScript performance, duplication, content, links, internal, external links, all those things you always want to be checking when you do an SEO audit. So this is about those tools, and now a few best practices, a few tips I have for you. So if this is like a very huge site, let's say 100 million pages, then you probably don't need to crawl it all. It's enough if you crawl like 20%, and you will probably have the meaningful sample that will let you show at least those technical issues, because very often the same technical issues are like across the entire site, and you will not review those 100 million pages anyway. So you just need a sample and to see some pattern. And this is where those tools come in very useful, like duplication. You see that, for example, all title tags across a specific uh, type of product are the same. And you don't need to like very often crawl the entire site. You see, okay, there is this setting in CMS, Magento, or whatever, that makes those titles like the same. So This is like usually the more realistic approach. Of course, depends, as everything in SEO. Another tip is that you shouldn't be blindly following the recommendations the tools are giving. Sometimes the recommendations make sense, sometimes they don't make sense. For example, the tool will alert you that, let's see, in a Screaming Frog, for example, has recently also started showing you the issues. So you may also use Screaming Frog to look to look at issues. But let me open this one. So it's Screaming Sidebulb is showing you different priorities. It's try to prioritize issues for you, but still you need to like check it for yourself. Like for example, uh, very often the tool will show you that those pages are not indexable. This is a critical issue. And if you are crawling the site that has like 10 million pages, and there are like 3 pages which are not indexable, and these are like totally not important pages, then you know that the tool is showing this as critical mistake, but there is no mistake, no error. So you always need to be treating the tips the tool is giving you with a pinch of salt, because sometimes they make sense, sometimes they don't make sense, and they don't apply. You need to put those things in the context of the site, in the context of the goals the site has, and only you, an auditor, a human being, knows that what those priorities, what those goals are. uh, an ideal situation is when you have like your own checklist of things you always check, because there are tons of such checklists over the internet. Even I have one which I let people use like freely on my website. So you simply follow your own checklist. On your checklist, you, for example, have robots text, you have sitemaps, you have titles, and you follow your checklist, and you use the data the tools are showing you to check those things you have listed, not the other way around when its tool is telling you what you should be paying your attention to. So this is usually a more effective approach, an approach that produces a better audit simply. And a word about prioritizing. uh, this is only you can do prioritization, so you need to know what things like are game changing, can be game changers, what things cannot be game changers. So for example, speed. If everything is in red, the site takes 30 seconds to load, then you know that speed, even though it is a minor factor, is something that should probably be taken care of, because if it is like a shop, 30 seconds, people won't be purchasing the things there, even though it is a great shop and the products it sells really needed by those people. So you need to be able to assign those priorities to, because sometimes those things are huge, sometimes they're not huge. Or the other thing, if you're hired to do an audit of the site, like some in-depth analysis, this and that, and then you visit the site, you start crawling it, and you see that there's no index tag on the whole page. Then, oh, this is like probably the biggest thing you want to fix right away. You won't be doing any analysis. You just want to remove that no index tags from the whole page. So, just an example. And the final tip is about increasing the chances of your audit recommendations of being implemented. There are some audits, some clients that will simply never implement your recommendations, and that's simply the way it is. But there are some things you can do to increase that chances. So, for example, don't create like automated audits when you simply like here export all hands. You click export all hands, it will export everything like a nice looking audit, but this is not an audit. This is like an automatic, like here, PDF exports. So great, awesome. But this is not the audit. You have to, when you list the mistakes, you have to comment. Okay, so for example, the site has a sitemap which contains URLs that are like, for example, wrong URLs, non-indexable URLs. This is a huge site. So I provide a comment. Okay, so a sitemap is important for crawling. It enables Google to crawl specific pages. It enables Google to discover specific pages. And the site, for example, has 10 million pages, and in the sitemap, 5 million of those pages are the URLs of those pages are not correct. So what do you do there? What do you do then? You probably uh, want to say that, okay, this is like a huge waster of your crawl budget. You need to update your sitemap. The way to update sitemap on your specific CMS is by doing this and that. The more specific you are with your guidelines, the higher chance that they will be implemented. Of course, you can also learn who is going to implement those changes, and you can talk to that developer, that webmaster, that site owner, and help them with implementation. Sometimes there are some audits where you are the person who implements the recommendations, and you have to be really careful with what you recommend implementing. So a lot of considerations, but if you are clear, if you provide screenshots, if you explain why it is important, then there is a chance that it will be implemented. And here is the exported audit. So as you can see, it took me 60 seconds to create the audit, which has 72 pages. Nice graphs, nice explanations. Wow, this is cool. But this is not an audit, as I said. Don't do that. Okay, so I think that's all. I recommend as an exercise for you to crawl a huge site and crawl like just 20% of it and try to find some patterns using either Screaming Frog or Jet Octopus or Sidebulb, whatever, or all of these tools. Try to find like common patterns that can be applied to the entire site. This is really, really a nice exercise. The more audits you do this way, the more efficient you will become, and the better SEO auditor you will be. So good luck with that, and it was nice sharing my knowledge with you. And yeah, see you in the next video, maybe. Bye bye.